My name is Gigi Chao, and in my day job, I manage a billion-dollar market-cap Hong Kong-listed enterprise called Nang. Nang Holdings is a family business, mostly focused on property development, but we cover lots of different assets and different investments too. I'm on my 15th year on the job as executive vice chairman. And as vice chairman of a multinational company, risk and risk investing is something that I deal with on a daily basis. And in this presentation, I am happy to share some tips and strategies and lessons I learned on this journey. First, a word of warning. I am about to present some of my personal experiences, and it in no way constitutes financial advice. I'm sure there are many, many, many very capable financial advisors in your circle that you should definitely call up to discuss your options in investing. So what you're about to hear is for educational and some entertainment purposes only. Imagine you're standing at the edge of a storm-tossed sea. The waves are crashing around you, and each one is threatening to sweep you off your feet. This is the image that comes to mind when we think of investing in times of chaos, such as today. It is easy to feel overwhelmed, to want to turn away and seek shelter. But what have I told you? That within this tumult lies an opportunity for growth, for resilience, and for wisdom. Timing the market with its siren call of perfect moments often leads us astray. Emotional decision-making driven by fear or greed can cloud our judgment and might lead us to decisions that we will later regret. Yet within this chaos, there is a path forward, lit by the beacon of discipline, preparedness, and a steadfast commitment to our long-term goals. Today, my sharing is on time, risk, and value. These are the three dimensions, the rock, paper, scissors of investing. And it's very important that we know the difference of how to invest on time and be on risk. We live in a time of VUCA, V-U-C-A, VUCA, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous times. Volatility is risk, and these are the times. First, let us talk about time. The adage, time is money, is a phrase that's been echoed throughout history, reflecting the idea that time is valuable, a resource that should not be wasted. Indeed, for a worker or laborer, we clock in, we clock out, and exchange our time for money. So my first lesson in investing is this. When we think about time, it's not about being right. It's not about entering and picking the right stock, the right bonds, and buying them and waiting. It's about being right at the right place, right time, and for the right length of time. Because without that knowledge, the number of times that I've timed my investment just precisely, but still lost money, you would be surprised. And I'll tell you about all the times I lost money just a little bit later. But for now, let's know that profits are not about being right. And if you're early, you might be wrecked. If you're late, you might just as well be wrecked. The ultimate magician on time is a man called Albert Einstein, who was a brilliant scientist, that popularized relativity. He had a thing or two to say about time. He said that in investing, there was an eighth wonder of the world, and that was compound interest. Let's skip on to think about, beyond time, what are the most important elements? One of the books that I've recently read I'd like to share with the audience is this book called The Algebra of Wealth by Scott Galloway. And an important message that he gave was not just on how time is a one-dimensional amplifier of all our investments, but also the most important investment that you would make is not the stock that you pick, it's not what you study, it's not where we choose to live, but instead it is who you choose to partner with. Your relationship with your spouse is the most critical relationship in your life, and it will have a huge impact on your economic trajectory. From an economic standpoint, getting the staying hitched is one of the most beneficial things you can do. And married individuals, you might be surprised to know, are 77% wealthier than single people. And each year you're married, your net worth typically will increase 16%. Married people also live longer and are statistically happier than single people. And there are many reasons for this, but one of them that resonates with me particularly is that spouses is a means of accountability, and accountability is the key to success. And of course, being the founder of Hong Kong Marriage Equality, it is my job to talk just a little bit about marriage today. So Hong Kong Marriage Equality was founded in 2019, and we are an organization that is dedicated to lobbying and educating Hong Kong to create a harmonious society, a ripe environment for marriage equality in Hong Kong. The statistics on marriage equality are actually quite clear. In Hong Kong, there's an over 60% of the population in support of marriage equality, and we are in a critical time in Hong Kong where this is the next stage for everyone in the audience. We have many supporting organizations, and in those organizations, they support a campaign called Equal Love, which you can learn more about in the Connect slide later on. Marriage equality is not just important for bringing tourism dollars and making you work better in your workplace, but it is also the foundation of a harmonious society in a section of people that will have access to all those lovely statistics that we talk about, where a married life is a happier life. And we'll talk about that a little later as well off stage. So, ladies and gentlemen, I've talked about marriage, but I stand before you, esteemed investors, visionaries of the future. Today I stand before you to understand the paramount importance of a concept that is vital to investing as the very breath that we take, and that is the stop-loss setting. In the ever-tumultuous seas of the financial markets, where waves of volatility can capsize even the mightiest of ships, the stop-loss acts as our steadfast anchor, and it is the embodiment of discipline and a testament to our commitment to safeguarding our hard-core capital and a beacon of our prudence in a world that glorifies reckless pursuit. Imagine, if you will, a world where every investor, driven by the intoxicating allure of infinite potential gains, forgoes the safety net of a stop-loss. It would be a world where the specter of total loss looms over every decision, and our fear of ruin will overshadow our success. But with this in place, we can strategically retreat each small loss into an opportunity to fight another day. Now, one of the best training that I ever got in the 14 years of investing in a billion-dollar company is actually not in my workplace at all, but actually as a helicopter pilot. It's there. So as a helicopter pilot, there are plenty of risks. You're in the air, you have passengers, and on the first lesson as a pilot, you have to learn that there is a plan. Your plan is to know where you're going, how fast to fly, how much fuel you have, and what are the circumstances in which we should call off the flight. On the very first lesson, my flying instructor flew me up in the air 2,000 feet, swiftly turned off the engine, all the lights went on, beep! All right, Gigi, now get this aircraft landed safely. It was my first lesson, so I didn't have a clue how. So my instructor said, don't worry, calm down, fly the aircraft, and know what you're doing. This is the importance of a stop-loss setting. This is the training that you've been training for. And this is what you're going to learn if you want to have a pilot's license. In the event an incident, you're not able to walk away from your aircraft on your 2 feet. Incidents do happen. And when that happens, you do what Ray Dalio does with all his losses. Investigate, investigate, investigate. Know the root cause of every failure so that each subsequent flight is safer than the one before. This is deeply ingrained in the concept of sunk cost and popularized as the sunk cost fallacy, which prevents people from aborting losses. We become emotionally attached to certain investments, and we put our pride in being in a certain position. We lose ourselves in the hope of recovery. We fear the feeling of regret if it transpires that we were wrong, and we fall into a denial of losses or overconfidence, and that clouds over our judgment and discipline. To abort and admit a wrong decision is a mindset. It is an acknowledgement that even the most meticulously drafted strategies can falter, and the unpredictable can and often will happen. And it is the acceptance that to protect our investments, we must be willing to take small losses today to preserve our capital for the victories of tomorrow. In the grand tapestry of investing, take profit and stop loss weaves a thread of resilience, a pattern of persistence that ensures our journey are not cut short by a single catastrophic event. It is the silent guardian of our portfolios, the unsung hero of our financial narratives. So let us embrace the wisdom of the pilot, of the airplane pilot. Let our plans temper our enthusiasm and protect our dreams and find discipline and focus. For in the end, it's not just the profits we make, but the losses we prevent and the risks that we manage. If you look on my LinkedIn profile, you'll see lots of shiny degrees and lots of multinational companies that I've worked for. I've mentioned Marriage Equality, which is an NGO that I co-founded, but also Faith in Love, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But I, too, even with all these prestigious degrees, have been scammed. I've never told this story, not in public anyway, so huddle up. Here's what happened. Around the year 1999, I just graduated from university in the UK, and I was working as an architect, renovating small Victorian houses, industrial conversions, and the like. But hey, it's 1999. It's going to be a new millennium. So why not come back to Hong Kong? Why not come to Landmark Atrium and celebrate? When's the next time we get to celebrate the turning over of 1,000 years? So during that time, I answered a job ad, and I was recruited away from my original field of study, which is architecture, and I was recruited into a financial company, which later, it transpires, was a pyramid Ponzi scheme. In it, I sold their product to my friends, and as a fresh young graduate trying to make a buck during the Asian financial crisis, I somehow believed in the stories of this fraud. Ultimately, the police came. They shut down the company. I lost all my money, my friends' money, and I narrowly, just narrowly, escaped jail. Ladies and gentlemen, when times are tough, fraud becomes rampant. During the Great Depression of 1920 and 1939, a huge number of people lost their life savings, their homes, their reputation, and became nomadic workers, and they roamed the earth taking whatever jobs they could. One estimate put the number to almost 4 million adults. So here's on the slide a bunch of symbols that the American homeless population called hobos created. And they're very simple, and they're quite artistic, actually. And one in particular I'd like everyone to pay attention to: the cat and the woman. So I'm talking to an audience of women, and I'm sure many people have cats. So the symbol, maybe you should check your door or on the street. If there's a cat symbol on your door, that means someone has put a mark on you that you're a kind woman, and if I tell a pitiful story, I'm likely to get some freebies off you. So what are the lessons here? I think in the past 4 years, I've seen, again, a proliferation of scams. It's, according to the Hong Kong statistics, this year is a tad bit better. But it's important for you to develop your own assessment procedure of when somebody comes to you, how can I abort, cut, stop, and not carry on with a certain engagement? So usually there are 3 things that you should identify. First, is it an investment? Well, investments, you have your whole list of criteria. Are they using FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt? Are they using FOMO, fear of missing out? Are they using your fear and greed to drive you to make decisions quickly, giving a very short timeline for you, not able to do proper due diligence? And if something does go wrong, and if something does go pear-shaped, how do I abort it? Second, many people will come, oh, can I borrow some money? I'm in hard times. Okay, so again, think financially. If it's a borrow money scenario, is there interest involved? Is the interest what you would call interest that you call attractive according to your strategy? Again, all about timing. And third, is it charity? Is it a situation where there's a cause, there's a certain situation that you'd like to give money to? The number of times that people have asked me to give money to them, to loan them something, or, oh, they want to invest in something, have been multifarious. But again, you must learn to separate the 3 and use your own disciplined thinking to identify which one it is and whether that is the right course forward. In my personal capacity, I've given out much money. And many times they've promised to pay back, and I know they wouldn't. But in such a circumstance, you know, if it's something that clears your conscience, go for it. And if you can't bear telling them to their face, find someone that can do that for you. If we don't have the thick skin, find a friend and acquaintance and divert it to that trusted person who can do it for you. And this is one of the reasons why I've actually founded my own charitable foundation, Faith in Love Foundation, to discipline my giving in a way that can harness experts, harness people, perhaps in this room, that can tell you the right way to do it. Lastly, let's talk about value. In the dance between time and risk, the ultimate goal is to create value. The question that everyone has to answer for yourself is, as individuals in society, we are vulnerable to the large forces of markets, of governments, of nature. But in the end, what is it that can create value? What is it that creates value for your fellow human beings? And 50 years from now, 100 years from now, what will be that value that makes you proud? Whether you have $100 or 100 million, the principles are the same. Make time your friend, understand the nature of risk, and make a nest for your money. Nothing is frozen in time. Think in systems, like the helicopter pilot, and not in single results. As retail investors, investing in risk is not about ignoring the storm, but about navigating through it with a clear plan. It is about understanding what we cannot control and find discipline to do what we can. And it's a willingness to accept that at least some of our profits is probably attributable to luck. So my proposal for a strategy is this. Find out what you value most. Money is a numbers game, like the raindrops on the window. And finally, make an important assessment of how you use your time, as the relationships that you have built will strengthen you. On reward, what we created for society and for other people, the environment, that is real value. The rest is a numbers game. So the flashy Lambos, the lovely handbags, yes, we want those too. But how do we create value for others? Remember, success is in the agency of others. Care deeply, love generously, and live simply. So a summary, some takeaways. Time is your biggest asset. Don't squander it. Success is in the agency of others. Look out for scams that will wipe you out. Don't be the cat lady. Think in systems, such as the pilot. And lastly, care deeply, love generously, and live simply. To conclude, I'd like to read a poem, one of my favorite poems. It's called If by Rudyard Kipling, and it's adapted for today's audience. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good, nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two imposters just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken, and stoop and build them up with worn-out tools. If you can make one heap of your winnings and risk it all on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginnings, and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your long gone after they're gone, and so hold on when there's nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that is in it, and which is more, fearing none, you are a woman. Thank you very much.